Hello everyone, welcome to Open Oven. My name is Mike Smith. Today we have a recipe, jambalaya. Everybody knows jambalaya, you're familiar with that word. It's a Cajun Creole dish. It actually means mishmash. And so we're going to use, I've got my pan already nice and hot. We're going to use sausage, chicken, and shrimp. And then obviously lots of vegetables. Definitely a spicier dish than a lot of the dishes that I make on the show. And again, like anything, you can make it as little or as spicy as you like. I'm cutting them into, quarter like half-inch pieces, quarter-inch to half-inch pieces, so that they'll fry up really easy. Get that nice and fried up, and while it's in there, I'm going to actually take some Cajun seasoning. We're going to add that to the sausage right now. Like I said, this one's going to have a little bit of heat to it. Going to get that off my hands in case I happen to touch my eyes or something. I'm not really in the mood for pain right now. So I'm going to turn that up a bit, get it nice and sizzling hot. Smell the spice already. I just put it in there, and you can smell that. It smells great. Saute that up. I'm going to add a tiny little bit of garlic butter. If you've watched the show before, you'll know that I tend to make my own garlic butter. I'll heat up butter with slices of garlic in it and then let it sit. Let that garlic get into the butter, and I can use that for whatever recipes, whether it's making garlic toast or any other type of recipe that I want to make. And so we're going to end up setting that aside. Get that browned nicely. We're going to use that same pot. We're going to get the chicken going. I'll add a tiny bit more, just another teaspoon or less of oil. Keep that nice and hot. Same thing with this. I'm going to just add some black pepper. Brown that nicely, saute it a bit, a little bit of garlic butter in there again, get it saute a bit more. It's looking pretty good. All right, and again, this is definitely a meal with a little more heat to it. We're going to use some, when we get to our spices and putting this together, we're going to use a little bit of hot sauce. If you like Worcestershire sauce, you can use that. All right, so that's starting to look like it's supposed to. All right, and we're gonna set that aside. And then we're gonna add shrimp. Definitely gonna add another teaspoon of oil, maybe a little more. We're gonna use some more of our garlic butter. Get that in there. The shrimp we're using, obviously, is pre-cooked. So we have pre-cooked shrimp. We've taken the tails off so that it's just ready to eat. You're going to end up dumping this into your your big pot. We'll end up using what's called a one-pot jambalaya. And so you don't obviously want to have somebody in the middle of their meal peeling their tails off. I've got a little bit of celery salt. I'm just going to add some of that here with the shrimp. And I'm going to add a little bit of pepper again. All right, we'll give that about a minute or so to saute. Good. Looks like you could eat this right now. Let's be patient. I say that I don't eat a lot of spicy food. I just didn't grow up eating spicy food. I like a lot of spicy food. I can't handle a lot of heat, but I do like the flavor. You know, people who famously eat chicken wings that are ridiculously hot, I can't do that. But I do like wings and other hot dishes that do have a little spice to it and really the flavor. I'm not like I said, I'm not a big spicy food eater. This meal might even be a little too spicy for me. I probably, if I was making it just for myself, I probably wouldn't put hot sauce in it or add that heat, because this alone, some of the ingredients we're about to add alone will add enough heat to it, but that looks like it's pretty much ready to go. I'm just going to put that shrimp on a separate plate. And when we come back from the break, we'll start assembling our jambalaya. All right, we'll be right back and we'll finish this up. Hi, and we're back. Okay, so now we got to get some of the vegetables going, and so we're going to add our pepper and some onion. I've got that pan nice and hot again. We don't need the pan holder. Pan nice and hot. I'm actually going to cut those in half. Get those going in there. You could use any type of pepper. Most recipes actually ask for green pepper. We're going to use a sweeter one. All right, we'll get that in there. Turn up a little bit. There we go. Place a little bit of that oil that we lost. Nice and crispy. We'll get some onion in there. Can't have a Cajun Creole dish without onion. And then we're going to also grate some garlic into there. There's a multitude of tastes in this. All right. a little bit of Cajun seasoning. And we're going to grate some garlic. We're using fresh garlic. If you wanted to use minced garlic, you could do that. Most people, I think, prefer fresh, but I've tried minced garlic lots of times and had no problems with it. All right, that skin off there. The skin's being a little challenging. All right, grate some of that in there. And we'll use fresh garlic. I prefer to use fresh garlic. I don't think I used garlic with anything until I was in my 30s. And obviously the flavor you get from fresh garlic, nothing beats it. Again, I've used the jarred garlic before. Woo, getting a little bit of spice out of that pan. Try not to stand too close, because you definitely get some of that Cajun seasoning and that garlic coming into your lungs. All right, so that's looking really great. We're going to add a tiny bit of hot sauce on this stage, and then we're going to add a little bit when we put it all together. I'm only going to use a little bit because it doesn't take much depending on which hot sauce you're using. Get it off the old-fashioned way. There we go. And again, we're going to use a little bit of that when we put it all together too. All right, that is looking great. And basically all we'll have left is putting it all together. All the prep has pretty much been done. Excuse me. All right. Nice and colorful, looks like it should. When we come back from the break here shortly, we'll finish up. Combine everything. Oh, I'm still getting some of that spice. We'll combine everything and we'll get started on our jambalaya. Looks like it's going to be wonderful. Everything looks fantastic. Should taste just as fantastic. We'll see you back here in a couple minutes. All right, we're back. Now we're set to do the final stages. We're going to put everything together. It still does matter in what order. We're going to actually pop in the vegetables first, get them in a pot, get that heated up and going. Again, get it nice and hot. All right. While that's in there, you can use crushed tomatoes if you had some of that. We're going to use a little combination of tomato paste and some actual pieces of tomato. Put a couple teaspoons of tomato paste. Now let's put 3. I'm going to quickly you can hear that starting to sizzle already. Get it down a little bit. I'll get you take a peek at that. It's going to get it obviously a red when you add that tomato paste. Red is the color of heat, right? We're going to kind of put some Roma tomatoes in here. I'm going to cut them up into smaller pieces. Put that in with the vegetable. That's probably enough. Stir that into our little mess there. Yeah, and you can definitely, when we put in that Cajun spice, you get enough of it in your lungs, and it's that's why it's spicy, and that's why it has the flavor it has, because it's strong. This is really starting to smell really good. Remember, I said we were going to put a little more hot sauce in, so we're going to put the hot sauce in with the tomato paste, because then it's a little bit wetter. About that amount. That will definitely add some flavor to it and some heat. We're going to use some more spices. Turmeric. Put a little bit more of that Cajun spice in there. Give that another stir. We're going to use a bit of garlic butter, just a touch. Salt, and finally that last shot of black pepper. All right, that's cooking nicely now. All right, we're going to add the meat. You would probably cook this for about 10 minutes. We've got it cooked pretty decently there. We should be ready to go in 3 or 4 minutes or so. So we've got all of our ingredients, our contents. Now what we want to do is add our liquid. I'm going to add the liquid. We're going to use broth, about 2.5 cups of broth for this amount of food. And this will give us our liquid to be able to cook this in. And I'm going to cook that pretty high again. All right, our last one is going to be our rice. I'm just going to give this a little bit of stir, clean up a bit of my mess so I'm not dropping something. All right, so let me stir that. Now it's starting to look like jambalaya. You can take a peek at that. That's quite a mix. That nice and hot. And finally, we'll stir in our rice. I would say about 3 cups of rice, the amount that we have going here. We'll take a look at that. Yeah, that's nice and thick now. Lots of rice, lots of contents. Definitely multiple smells. Hard to know which one's which. All right, keep that nice and hot. Yep. And again, it's jambalaya. You see there's a lot of ingredients, but you can add or take out whatever you like, depending on how much spice you like. Like I told you, I probably wouldn't, if I was making this just for myself, I probably wouldn't have added the hot sauce. But this is kind of traditionally, it's obviously, it's a meal that would be hot. So keep spinning that, stirring that, let that get a little hot. We'll do it with a plate. I could use a bowl or a plate, either one. We'll do it with a plate. If you wanted to have a naan bread, or if you wanted to have something that you wanted to go ahead and dip this with, that would be a great addition. It's bubbling pretty good. I know you can't see that. And this would be a fantastic dish. Put in the fridge, let those flavors soak in. It would be an excellent dish if it sat overnight. And there you go. That is my version of jambalaya. Again, you could add or take away whatever you like. I hope you enjoy it.